Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news in the industry, and of course, stream for fun. Today we're doing something a little different today, but it's not, I don't feel like it's going to be the same coming from me, of course. I actually want the Gamers Nexus to talk about it himself. And it's exposing something that's really kind of nasty from NVIDIA. And I know other companies do this too. Of course, we don't always know to the extent or exactly who or how much. But I think this is important to talk about because we're talking about manipulation of reviews or manipulation of, trailers or whatever. And like something that, one of the biggest reasons I think YouTube is really blown up is just because the amount of genuineness that's out there is that people are starting channels such as myself, just wanting to talk about things that they're passionate about and bring the news and bring people information so that they can make better informed decisions. And generally, we all want that. Right? And so we're going to watch about 5 minutes of this video. I'll link this down below. But yeah, if you've never seen Gamers Nexus, man, wonderful channel, especially for all PC type of stuff. It's great. And let's go ahead and get into this.
NVIDIA seems to view review relationships like some kind of quid pro quo and expects that it's supposed to get something in return for them other than just the product review itself. And AMD actually used to be like that too, back before it fired all of the worst executives that were enforcing that approach. So because NVIDIA believes that this is purely transactional, we'll first prove a point. We've produced a ton of content about FSR, DLSS, and MFG. In fact, we've produced 71 minutes of content explicitly covering MFG and DLSS 4 with in-depth testing, frame-by-frame comparison of frame generation, and technical analysis. Some of it was positive. Our 5090 review was 40 minutes long. The teardown was 29 minutes long, meaning that our MFG and DLSS in-depth testing actually is longer than our 5090 review content. If we had included MFG and DLSS coverage in the 5090 review, it would have been under 4 minutes and something else would have been cut. But it's never enough for NVIDIA. NVIDIA wants MFG 4X in the charts of the reviews themselves and in the reviews. Here's the bigger problem. NVIDIA has created a situation where you can't trust the independence of any MFG or DLSS coverage because of the way it's pushing these constant threats of access to hardware, or in our case, the not even implicit, but the straight up explicit statements that interviews with people like Malcolm or Guillermo are possible if we include things like MFG in the reviews. So they have undermined the integrity of any of that coverage. I personally cannot look at anyone's review where they talk about MFG or DLSS without wondering if they got the same talk we did. And that's a problem, especially now that you all know about it. So NVIDIA told us.
So this is horrible. This is awful, and it kills the genuineness. And now that this is out there, how many views does this have already? It's got a lot. Almost 1 million views. Okay, and some other channels are picking up on this. Okay, I'm sure I'm not the only one. No way. I'm a small teeny channel. There's other channels that are keeping up with this stuff way better than I am. But it's important to maintain genuine reviews, because otherwise, once you allow some manipulation, the manipulation usually gets worse, right? And the corruption usually gets worse. And this is what he's talking about. And if NVIDIA is doing this, we've had this too with gaslighting communities with hey, these are wonderful, amazing games and they don't sell and this horrible, this is just with NVIDIA specifically. But yeah, again, I think the genuineness, the truth is important to focus on here. And this is why I'm doing this video. So yeah, we got a few more minutes left.
That adding MFG and DLSS reviews was necessary to, quote, secure budget, to have Malcolm and Guillermo technical interviews on thermals and latency, even though they do not pay us. In fact, I paid tens of thousands of dollars now to fly out to their venues and their offices to cover those things. It was our cost. Our budget was the only budget in this entire conversation. And they're talking about securing budget as if this is somehow a paid exchange. Now, I don't know if that was a Freudian slip where maybe they pay other people for coverage like that. But whatever the case may be, that was how it was delivered to us, where in order to continue doing these types of interviews and for them to, quote, secure budget, we had to cover things a certain way in the reviews that were totally unrelated to the people we were even interviewing. It made no sense. But they know we don't take money for them, so I have to wonder if they view these interviews through a lens of thinking we view it as a monetary gain, such as through the other ads that are run on them, as some sort of big transaction, the way NVIDIA looks at everything. And if that's the case, then it's just plain dirty. But either way, even ignoring this misrepresentation of so-called budget, we already have over an hour of content on MFG and DLSS, and it's still not enough for them. Possibly because it wasn't purely positive, but we won't capitulate, because if you give NVIDIA an inch, they'll take a mile, and their drivers don't even fucking work anyway. This whole thing is bizarre though. Malcolm is a thermal engineer. He has nothing to do with MFG, and to be clear, we are almost certain that he has no idea he's being treated as a poker chip by NVIDIA's upper command. We like NVIDIA's acoustic, thermal, and latency engineers and have friendly rapport with them. We find them to be honest and intelligent without being marketers. The information is genuine and comes from a genuine place. I would absolutely love to continue working with Malcolm and Guillermo, but that's what makes this so gross from NVIDIA. NVIDIA is now undermining even that trust with its engineers by poisoning the well. It seeps into the ground and it can't be removed. We can't trust NVIDIA's motives for anything now, and at this point you shouldn't either. And frankly, it's disturbing how many times NVIDIA brings up Malcolm's name specifically when we talk about MFG and charts. Because again, he's a thermal engineer. He makes fans and metal make things cold. That is what Malcolm does. He does not make fake frames and then put them onto charts and then lie and claim that a 5070 is a 4090. So I assume that the reason they keep bringing him up specifically in this non sequitur is because they know we like working with him. And that again just makes it even dirtier, because NVIDIA sees this opportunity of, he doesn't seem to give a fuck if we take away the cards. What if we take away access to the people the audience likes and the people that Steve likes working with? NVIDIA has accurately identified that if our GPU sampling is cut, we'll just get the hardware a different way.
And this too is pretty disgusting, because it's like, okay, not only have we figured out that the 50 series is really not that great at all, and then the drivers don't work. They even built some of their 50 series incorrectly and didn't tell anybody about it or didn't catch it, which is just insane, because these are like the top of the top dogs, right? They should be catching stuff like that. That's the expectation. And now we're finding out that there's review manipulation, that they want certain charts to be put up there, they want certain things to be done, and or certain things to be said or certain things to be omitted. I think is ridiculous. And yeah, again, we're moving away from this genuineness for reviews, and we have reviews in the first place so that people can tell if it's a good fit for them or not. And this too is not just disingenuous, but it's removing the ability to market fairly. And again, maybe when you've been at the top for too long, the corruption just seeps in and the goodwill disappears, because ultimately people figure out what you're doing. And like with NVIDIA, for instance, good grief, I trust them even less now. Like way less. Like if I ever bought and went to go buy a PC today, it would more likely be an AMD. I mean, there's not a ton of options out there to begin with, but certainly not an NVIDIA. I mean, with how the 50 series has gone, and now this with wanting to manipulate the reviews, which again affects all of us. And we should stay aware for this, not just with NVIDIA, but just with all companies. Car, insurance, gaming, whatever. I mean, reviews are important, and even too, if you have your own channel, stay genuine to it, even if it's unpopular opinion. Stand by what you say. And yeah, this is just mind blowing to me, because now all of the other channels that do reviews, especially on NVIDIA stuff, because they're the biggest ones, right? Everybody wants to know. Well, now they have a moral decision to make on how they're going to cater to their audience, or how they're going to expose or be upfront about stuff. And they should, but I don't think all of them will, because again, it's going to hurt their relationship with NVIDIA. And when you are putting the views, putting the monetization against being able to stay true to your reviewers, to your viewers, that's going to be a tough decision for people, and I hope they all make the right decision, but they probably won't. So from here on out, even with reviewers, just keep track of what's going on, listen to multiple, and yeah, these channels, all of them put together, they can hold each other accountable, which is great. That's what we want.
And they won't be a part of the conversation. That's their decision to make. If they don't want the opportunity to say anything at any point in a review, they don't have to have that opportunity. We can go get it, we'll do the testing ourselves, and we'll proceed as normal. So instead of trying to use something of less value as leverage, NVIDIA has pinpointed that we get along well with engineers, our audience likes them, and the content is great and unique. But why stop at good content for the brand when you can weaponize it to extort a certain directive? There's a lot of big words in that sentence, so that means that's the right way to do it. But frankly, if NVIDIA is viewing this as quid pro quo, then NVIDIA should be abso-fucking-lutely flattered that we've spent as much time as we have covering things like their thermal solution and doing so positively, because I think it's actually brilliant. That is how much we liked it. I will, in this video, still give them credit for the things that they've done well. But it was genuinely fun to work on. We had multiple videos calling it good.
So if you want to, I'll link down the entire video, and you can watch this down below and finish it if you'd like. But like, this is ultimately disgusting because we're talking about a, tens or even hundreds of billions of dollar company that is wanting manipulation, and maybe there's some holes in the dam, and they're worried about it breaking, right, or it getting worse. And we don't know that, but like, this behavior is just. It's disgusting, okay? And honestly, check out these guys, Gamers Nexus. They're a wonderful channel, and I'm really glad they're going this route of sticking to the truth and wanting to be honest with their viewers. And we should all want to be like that. Sometimes it's challenging, yes, but you don't want to be damaging your channel by getting caught, cheating at chess. And yeah, this is horrible. So, and this too is my goal as well with the channel, to be as honest as I can with the reviews that I do, with the news that I give, and we should all work toward that. So definitely go sub to these guys; they're wonderful. And with that, folks, I'll see you guys on the next one.